It's been quiet around Last Epoch for a while, outside of the weekly streams. There's a new patch soon, September 7th, one day after the release of perhaps the most anticipated title of the year. So what's going on with Last Epoch, and will we see a 1.0 version this year? Hey everyone, Thyworm here, just talking a bit about Last Epoch. This is a very speculative video, just so you know, and if you like content on ARPGs, consider subscribing to the channel, I appreciate it. I wanted to make a video about Last Epoch for a while now, but I haven't covered this game, still one of the main games on the channel, because honestly there wasn't much to cover. The last patch dates from May 25th, Rising Flames. That patch brought a new uniques system, some new uniques, enemies, music, etc. But apart from that, not much. Especially for a veteran, there wasn't much there to get excited about. We are now a little over 3 months down the line, and the new patch seems to bring primarily a new playable subclass, the Rune Master. But otherwise there is radio silence. Soon the hype week will start, most likely, but yeah, I don't expect this patch to bring all too much to the table. While a new subclass can definitely be fun, the game itself is still the same in all likelihood. So there's yet again not that much to be excited about if you're like me and you've put a significant number of hours into the game. Which brings me to the topic of this video. What is happening with Last Epoch? I'm not suggesting anything is wrong or something. I've just noticed that unless you follow the streams, which I stopped doing some time ago, there's hardly any communication about the game. The last thing was a small trailer and game director Judd talking for 1 minute with Geoff Keighley at Gamescom, primarily highlighting things about the game we already know, and not revealing much besides a Rune Master. And I mean, the Rune Master looks pretty cool, some sort of combo class apparently, and knowing 11th hour games, it's probably pretty decent once it launches and should reinvigorate the game a little bit, but it's also made me wonder and sort of triggered me. I honestly haven't thought about Last Epoch much, I realized. I for sure haven't played it, and after seeing the small Gamescom segment, I can't help but think the game has lost a lot of momentum. Releasing your new patch one day after Starfield launches doesn't seem like a great way to reel back in the audience, but who knows, might be me. So I thought let's talk a little bit about that momentum. Maybe it's just me, it's definitely possible. And once again, I'm not saying the game is dead or anything. It holds a respectable player base of around 1k players on a daily basis, which is really completely fine. I am saying though that the excitement for this game has died down a little bit. That's what it feels like to me, at least. There's not much exciting going on, and maybe the hype week, if it even happens this time, will blow me away. And I really hope it does, but it looks right now it's much more likely the main attraction of the new patch is the new subclass, and everything else will be the standard additions we get every patch, meaning uniques, some monsters maybe, some other minor stuff. Let's hope they didn't develop another dungeon at least. Another contributor to losing momentum has been the competition, which has been swinging in full force lately. Diablo 4, while it has been getting a lot of bad press, has still temporarily taken over the ARPG landscape. And PoE 2, with all the interviews, trailers and ExileCon, has already solidified itself as yet again the ARPG to beat. And that is next to the, current Path of Exile already being the ARPG to beat. Once PoE 2 launches, it is most likely going to blow the competition into oblivion, so something needs to happen before that moment. And that moment is in less than a year, when the beta starts in July. Furthermore, this loss of momentum is also a little bit strange because according to Judd, the game director, the game should release this year.
0.9.1 Rising Flames continues the mission of updates, fixes, and increasing the overall quality of Last Epoch before our large upcoming 1.0 release later this year.
But will it? There is still so much left that we're supposed to get in patch 1.0, and the 0.9.2 patch releasing the 7th of September will be the last patch then before the 1.0 release, as 11th Hour Games has a patch out roughly every 3 months. I just find it quite unlikely that in the next 3 months we're getting 2 more subclasses, 3 more chapters, the Lost Memories system, the Gates of Memoriam, item trading, and yet another system, Epoch's Call. And because lately, to my knowledge at least, no roadmaps have been shared, I have to make do with quite old information. Some of these systems may have been scrapped by now, but if that's the case, this wasn't communicated at least in the forum or official announcement. It could be that during the weekly livestream this was mentioned, but a company shouldn't rely on a livestream to convey that sort of information. They should have at least have a post about this as well, somewhere in the Discord or the forums, and to my knowledge, these are still the systems in place for 1.0. It is, however, very hard to verify. I can't even find an up-to-date recent roadmap anymore. When looking at the press kit, the only systems mentioned in Endgame are the Monolith and the Arena, the two Endgame systems which exist today. Without knowing exactly what can be expected for the 1.0 release, and I'm not even sure the developers know at this point, it is hard to properly judge, I suppose, if they're going to make it this year, and if so, in what form. It's probably safe to say that the features once promised for 1.0, the ones I just listed, won't be in at 1.0, assuming it releases this year or even early next year. The pace of development in the last 1.5 or 2 years has been constant but also quite slow. There's simply not much content being released. But delaying yet again for what would be at least the third time, because I've made 2 videos on earlier delays years ago by now, that would also look pretty bad. So I think we are getting a 1.0 release, but a dressed down version of what people following the game for a longer time will expect. And that's not to say, by the way, that the 1.0 version wouldn't be good. In my opinion, significant scope creep entered the project for a long time now, and there's been a focus on features like dungeons which really don't add much to the game, instead of focusing on what is actually important in a hack-and-slash ARPG, like randomized content. But still, Last Epoch is a damn good game, for the first 100 to 200 hours or so. After that, the repetition sets in, and it becomes boring. But this game is more than ready for a 1.0 release. It has been for a while. If they didn't go all in on multiplayer co-op for some reason, the game could have been out already, way before the other heavy hitters in the ARPG genre are showing their muscles and pound the competition into the ground. But that time has passed, at least a little bit. The hype for Diablo to some extent, and PoE 2 to a very large extent, has been ramping up a lot, and Last Epoch went to the background. Other games like Undecember and Torchlight Infinite turned out to be solid titles, scooping away a bit of the ARPG pie. I think the only viable release window that Last Epoch still has this year is November, taking into account heavy hitters like Lords of the Fallen, Diablo Season 2, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, those all release in October, and then PoE 3.23, which is likely hitting in December. November is still fairly quiet. There's some room there, and it also gives the devs another 2.5 months to finish the 1.0 version. Any later and you're competing with PoE League 3.23, typically the strongest league of the year, the December version, bringing tons of new content. You don't want to be around that time frame. And then my expectation is that we get a dressed down version of what was originally promised. I suppose a trade system will be there, also judging by the latest Gamescom trailer, plus I guess 1 or 2 more subclasses. Anything else is probably scrapped until further notice, and while the devs will get some flack for that, I feel it is ultimately totally fine. The game just needs to finally release, work on seasonal content, put the bar a bit higher than Diablo 4 does for its seasons, and then over time it can become the next great ARPG like the devs once envisioned, if you don't count PoE 2, that is. That's my prediction for Last Epoch for the rest of the year. I'm making this video without any insider knowledge, I'm just as clueless as you are, but this is my best bet. I'm looking forward to the upcoming announcement, assuming Hype Week still works. I won't be playing the new patch much, if at all, because I am a massive fan of Skyrim, and Starfield is basically Skyrim in space, so I'll be blasting my laser guns and be a space pirate for the rest of the year most likely. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For now, thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one. See you soon, love you all. Bye bye.